For months, you believed you were helping. You walked into the grocery store, headed to the freezer aisle, and loaded up on boxes that promised convenience and health. Words like balanced, light, and senior-friendly jumped out at you, and you thought, this is exactly what mom or dad needs. You felt relief, even pride, stacking those frozen meals neatly in their freezer. You told yourself, I'm doing my part. I'm keeping them strong. But then came the moment that shattered it all. A doctor's visit. The test results. The quiet way the physician looked you in the eye and asked, do you realize the very food you've been giving them is breaking down their muscles? That sentence sits heavy, doesn't it? Because you meant well. You thought you were protecting them. And instead, you may have been speeding up the very decline you feared most. If your parent or grandparent is over 60, this could be their story. The truth is hard to swallow, but it's the truth. What you think is helping may actually be harming. That freezer you've been so careful to stock could be the very thing slowly robbing them of strength, of energy, of independence. And here's what makes it worse, you don't see it happening overnight. It's subtle. One day they're walking fine, the next they're reaching for the arm of a chair. 1 month they can carry the groceries, and then suddenly they're out of breath just climbing a few steps. You think, well, that's just aging. But what if it isn't just age? What if it's something you've been feeding them? That's why this video matters. Because I'm going to show you which frozen foods are quietly draining the health of seniors, and which ones could help them fight back. And at the very end, I'll reveal the one freezer item most families keep. Almost every single household buys it, believing it's safe, even healthy, but in reality, it nearly guarantees faster muscle loss. Imagine opening your freezer right now and realizing it's sitting there. This isn't about fearmongering. It's about facing the uncomfortable reality that the choices we make for the people we love most, choices that feel small, ordinary, innocent, can determine whether they stay strong and independent, or slip into a decline that could have been prevented. So I'll ask you this, if you don't subscribe to GOLDENERA Senior Health right now, what will you tell yourself later if this very video could have saved your mom or dad's independence? You start to notice the little things first. Your mom, once quick to rise from her favorite chair, now takes longer to steady herself. She presses her palms harder into the armrests, pushing with effort just to stand. At dinner, she rubs her knees as though every bite comes with a cost. You tell her to eat more, to stay strong, but she pushes the plate away and says, I'm just tired. The family begins to worry. Some say she needs more rest, others insist she isn't eating enough. Arguments break out in the kitchen. What should she eat? What should she avoid? Who should take responsibility? Tension grows, because everyone feels helpless. You keep returning to the freezer, pulling out the meals you bought, the ones you believed were nourishing. You warm them with care, hoping they'll make a difference. But week by week, her energy slips further away. Then comes the doctor's visit. The nurse helps her onto the scale, her movements slow and fragile. They run the tests, and the results are sobering. Bone density down, muscle strength declining faster than expected. You brace yourself for the explanation, it must be her age. But then the doctor shakes their head. It isn't just her age, they say. It's something hiding in her freezer. Those words hit like a stone. Something you gave her with love is hurting her. The very meals you relied on for convenience and safety may be stealing the very strength you wanted to preserve. And now I want to ask you directly, what would you do if the very food you bought for your mom made her weaker? Would you feel shocked, betrayed by the packaging and promises? Would you feel guilty, knowing that your good intentions had hidden consequences? There is a way forward. There are choices that rebuild rather than destroy. One woman in Toronto discovered this when she stopped buying her usual frozen entrees and swapped them for a single, simple staple. Within weeks, her energy returned. She was walking to the park again, climbing the steps to her porch without help, smiling with a strength her family thought was gone forever. The change wasn't complicated, but it was powerful. And you'll hear exactly how to make that change. But before we go any further, I need to press this on you. If you believe your parents deserve dignity, prove it. Subscribe to GOLDENERA Senior Health right now. Picture this, it's breakfast time. Your mom sits at the table, spoon in hand, staring at a bowl of reheated frozen oatmeal that you thought would be an easy start to her day. She eats slowly, but within an hour, she feels heavy and drained instead of energized. You wonder why food that promises whole grain goodness seems to leave her weaker. Later that same day, you're at the grocery store. The freezer aisle stretches in front of you, bright boxes stacked high, all shouting the same claims: low fat, high protein, made for wellness. You grab a few, because you trust the labels. But what you don't see are the hidden loads of sodium, fillers, and proteins that seniors' bodies can't actually use the same way younger people do. You place them in the cart, unaware that each choice is quietly shaping her strength, or her decline. Fast forward to rehab. Your dad is at the gym with a therapist, holding small weights, trying to rebuild the muscles in his arms. His trainer encourages him, but you can see the struggle. He lifts, he lowers, and his hands shake. The therapist explains, after 60, the body faces something called sarcopenia, age-related muscle loss. It's natural, but it's faster when nutrition is wrong. That word, sarcopenia, suddenly makes sense of what you've been seeing at home. Here's what most people don't realize: as we age, our ability to absorb protein declines. What used to fuel muscles in our 30s barely scratches the surface in our 70s. It's not just about how much food seniors eat, it's about how their body processes it. And then there's collagen. Think of it as the glue that holds joints and connective tissue together. As collagen breaks down, bones ache, knees buckle, and simple steps feel like climbing a hill. The best way to understand it? Picture a bucket. You keep pouring in food. Proteins, calories, nutrients, but the bucket is cracked. No matter how much you add, it leaks out. That's what aging does. It doesn't mean nothing works, it means the wrong choices slip right through, while the right ones can finally start to patch the cracks. There isn't a perfect fix. No frozen meal in the world can erase decades of wear and tear. But there are better choices, choices that slow the leak, preserve strength, and in some cases, rebuild what seemed lost. Take the story of a man in Chicago. His family was worried because every year he seemed to lose more balance and strength. His freezer was packed with diet, frozen dinners, quick, easy, and labeled with words like smart and lean. But when his daughter swapped just one of those items for a protein-rich frozen option his body could actually use, something shifted. Within weeks, he was climbing stairs again without resting halfway. Within months, his therapist recorded measurable gains in muscle strength. One change in the freezer led to a visible difference in his life. So now the question comes back to you. If you'd rather scroll past than protect the person who raised you, comment below why. These frozen habits are quietly stealing strength. They look harmless, even comforting, but they can be some of the most damaging choices sitting in your freezer right now. Mistake number 1, frozen breaded chicken tenders. They're marketed as a quick protein fix, and you probably think, what's wrong with chicken? But here's the problem, most of the protein is lost under layers of breading and fillers. What you're left with is a food that's loaded with sodium, spiking blood pressure and straining the heart, while delivering very little of the muscle-building protein seniors desperately need. Your mom or dad thinks they're getting stronger by eating them, but in reality, they're just swallowing empty salt that leaves their muscles starving. Mistake number 2, frozen creamy pasta meals. Those warm bowls look inviting, especially for someone who doesn't cook as much anymore. But hidden inside are trans fats that clog arteries, sugars that raise blood sugar levels, and portion sizes that are far heavier in starch than in nutrition. After eating them, seniors feel full for the moment but pay the price with sluggish energy and an accelerated breakdown of joints and bones. What feels like comfort food is really a trap that takes independence one bite at a time. Mistake number 3, frozen diet entrees. They promise fewer calories, and many families reach for them thinking lighter meals are safer. But here's the truth, calorie light often means nutrient empty. These meals skip out on the very vitamins and proteins that older bodies require in higher amounts. A senior eats one, feels like they're staying healthy, but hours later their body is crying out for nutrients it never received. Over time, these meals lead to weakness, frailty, and more doctor visits. All while pretending to be healthy choices. Mistake number 4, even healthy frozen smoothies. You see fruits pictured on the bag, you imagine antioxidants, you think it's a shortcut to better health. But what's often hiding inside are concentrated sugars, syrups, and artificial boosters that overload the body with sweetness while stripping away fiber. Instead of stabilizing energy, these smoothies send blood sugar on a roller coaster ride, leaving seniors more fatigued, dizzy, and at risk of falls. Something as simple as a morning drink can quietly chip away at strength. Now imagine the story of a retired teacher in Melbourne. She was struggling to walk more than a few blocks without her knees giving out. Her family had already started looking at walkers, convinced her independence was slipping away. But when they cut out one of these frozen habits, just one, her decline slowed. Within months, she was walking to her book club without support. The simple act of removing the wrong food gave her back something far more valuable than convenience. It gave her back her freedom. So here's the question I'll leave with you. If you're still not subscribed to GOLDENERA Senior Health, are you really okay letting your parents eat these every single day while you stay silent? Now here are 4 frozen foods seniors need daily. These are the staples that don't just fill a plate, they fuel strength, sharpen the mind, and protect independence. Solution 1, frozen spinach and kale. These leafy greens may not look like much in a frosty bag, but inside are powerful nutrients seniors often lack. Iron helps carry oxygen through the blood, giving energy for simple things like walking to the mailbox or climbing the stairs. Vitamin K strengthens bones, reducing the risk of fractures from falls. But here's the key, your body absorbs these nutrients better with a little healthy fat. Add a drizzle of olive oil when cooking, and suddenly the greens turn from ordinary to powerful medicine on a plate. One caution, if your parent or grandparent is on blood-thinning medication, they'll need to balance intake carefully. But for many, folding frozen spinach into scrambled eggs can be the easiest way to start the day with bone strength in every bite. Solution 2, frozen salmon portions. Omega-3 fatty acids in salmon are some of the most studied nutrients in the world, especially for seniors. They fight inflammation, soothe aching joints, and protect the heart. One study after another shows that seniors who eat fatty fish regularly report less joint pain and greater mobility. The beauty of frozen salmon is that it cooks perfectly from frozen, no complicated prep. Place it on a baking sheet, add lemon, and 20 minutes later you've got a meal that strengthens instead of weakens. The caution here is portion size. Too much fatty fish can affect blood pressure for those already struggling with hypertension. But in the right amounts, frozen salmon turns dinner into a tool for resilience. Solution 3, frozen mixed berries. Strawberries, raspberries, blackberries, and especially blueberries, these are packed with antioxidants that shield the brain from decline. Seniors often fear memory loss more than anything else, and for good reason. But research has shown that blueberries, in particular, are linked to slower memory decline and better cognitive function in older adults. A handful of frozen berries blended into oatmeal or stirred into yogurt can be more powerful than a shelf full of supplements. They sweeten life naturally while giving the brain the armor it needs against time. Solution 4, frozen edamame, also known as soybeans. Few people realize how perfect this simple food is for seniors. Edamame provides high-quality plant protein that directly combats sarcopenia, the age-related muscle loss we spoke about earlier. Unlike processed meats or protein powders, edamame is gentle on digestion and easy to prepare. Just steam it and sprinkle with a little sea salt. It gives the muscles exactly what they need to hold strength, protect balance, and keep seniors walking on their own. Let me tell you about a widower in London. After his wife passed, he lived alone and relied on frozen convenience meals. Over time, his health declined so much that he leaned on a cane for even the shortest walks. His daughter stepped in and changed his freezer. Out went the breaded meats and creamy pastas, in came salmon, greens, berries, and edamame. At first, he doubted it would make a difference. But within months, he noticed changes. His steps became steadier, his memory sharper, and eventually he reached a day he never thought would return. Walking unaided down the street, greeting neighbors with the strength he thought he had lost forever. This is the power of choosing the right frozen foods. They don't just fill the freezer. They fill life with possibility. So how do you take all of this knowledge and actually turn it into a daily routine? Because it's one thing to know the right foods, it's another to make sure they end up on the plate every single day. Let's break it down into simple steps, so straightforward that anyone can follow them. In the morning, start with a spinach scramble. Take a handful of frozen spinach, toss it in a pan, and let it thaw as it cooks. Add an egg or two, maybe a drizzle of olive oil, and in minutes you've got a breakfast that delivers iron, vitamin K, and protein to fuel the day. It's warm, it's quick, and it sets the body on the right track from the very first bite. For lunch, think about balance. A frozen salmon portion baked with frozen vegetables on the side can be prepared in less time than it takes to watch the news. The salmon gives omega-3s for joints and the heart, while the vegetables add fiber, vitamins, and color to the plate. The meal feels hearty, but every mouthful is working to protect strength. When the afternoon comes, most people reach for cookies or chips. But here's the better swap, a handful of frozen edamame. Steam them for a few minutes, sprinkle with a pinch of salt, and you've got a protein-packed snack that's filling without being heavy. It keeps muscles nourished at the very time of day when energy usually dips. And in the evening, close the day with something sweet but protective. A bowl of frozen mixed berries, thawed slightly, maybe topped with a spoon of yogurt, becomes dessert. But unlike sugary frozen treats, these berries shield memory, fight inflammation, and give a sense of indulgence without damage. That's the daily rhythm. Morning greens, midday salmon, afternoon protein from edamame, and berries to finish. Nothing complicated, nothing expensive, nothing requiring gourmet cooking. And the truth is, it doesn't have to break the budget. At stores like Walmart, Aldi, or Tesco, these items are often sold in large family-sized bags at a price lower than many single frozen dinners. A little planning and one good shopping trip can stock a freezer for weeks. Instead of cluttered shelves of processed boxes, you fill the freezer with 4 essentials that quietly rebuild strength day by day. I want you to picture the story of a grandmother in Sydney. For years, her family watched her lose interest in the garden she once loved. The weeds grew taller, the flowers wilted, and the tools sat unused because she simply didn't have the energy to bend and dig. Her daughter stepped in, reorganized the freezer, and introduced this exact routine: spinach scrambles, salmon lunches, edamame snacks, and berry desserts. Slowly, strength returned. First, she walked outside with a watering can. Then, she pulled weeds again. Before long, she was back in the soil, planting and tending with the same joy she had years before. What returned wasn't just her independence, it was her identity, the part of her that loved life. That's what a routine can do. It's not just food on a plate. It's the key that unlocks energy, confidence, and freedom, one frozen bag at a time. Food alone cannot carry the full weight of health. The freezer can give back strength, but without the right habits around it, progress is slower, sometimes even stalled. Supporting habits are what make those food choices truly work. The first is hydration. It sounds almost too simple, but most seniors do not drink enough water. 6 glasses a day should be the baseline. Without it, nutrients from even the best foods can't travel through the body efficiently. Muscles stay stiff, digestion slows, and energy drops. When your parent feels unusually tired, sometimes it isn't their age, it's dehydration disguised as weakness. A glass of water with every meal, and another between meals, can change how the body responds to food almost overnight. The second is sunlight. Just 10 minutes a day can make a difference. Sunlight triggers vitamin D production, which is crucial for bones and balance. A short walk to the mailbox, standing by the garden, or simply sitting on the porch can restore what hours indoors have quietly taken away. Without enough sunlight, the bones hollow, the mood drops, and strength fades. With it, the body begins to hold itself upright again. The third is posture, especially through sit-to-stand practice. It may sound small, but the act of rising from a chair without using arms builds core and leg strength. Encourage them to practice slowly, several times a day. It's not just exercise, it's training for independence. Every repetition builds the ability to get up from bed, from a couch, from a toilet, tasks that define dignity in daily living. The fourth is balance. One of the simplest practices is the heel-to-toe walk. Place one foot directly in front of the other, as if walking on a straight line. It strengthens stability, teaches the body to resist falls, and builds confidence. Falls are often the event that changes everything for seniors. A habit as small as this one can prevent that devastating turn. The fifth is sleep. A consistent bedtime restores energy in ways food alone cannot. The body repairs muscles during deep sleep. The brain consolidates memory. Without good sleep, even the healthiest diet loses its power. Many seniors stay up late with the television or wake multiple times in the night. Resetting the routine, lights down at the same hour, no heavy meals before bed, a calm environment, helps the body fall into natural rhythm again. And here's a story that makes it real. In Vancouver, a grandfather was growing weaker every year. His family thought his decline was unstoppable. He drank very little water, slept poorly, and no amount of good food seemed to help. But when they made small adjustments, 6 glasses of water each day, a firm bedtime, his energy returned. He no longer spent afternoons napping in his chair. He started walking again, meeting friends, and even returned to his weekly card games. What changed wasn't just his body. His spark came back. These supporting habits may look ordinary, but they are the frame that holds everything else in place. Food provides the bricks, but habits are the mortar. Without them, strength crumbles. With them, it holds. The freezer is stocked with the right foods. The daily habits are in place. But here's the truth, without a long-term plan, progress can fade. Health is not built in a week, it's measured month by month, year by year. That's why tracking matters just as much as choosing the right meal. One of the most powerful tools is a simple journal. Nothing fancy, just a notebook where meals and moods are written down each day. What did they eat? How did they feel afterward? Was energy higher or lower? Were joints stiff or looser? Over time, patterns begin to appear. The journal shows which foods build strength and which quietly drain it. Without writing it down, those connections are easy to miss. The second tool is the chair stand test, done once a month. It's simple: sit in a sturdy chair, fold arms across the chest, and stand up as many times as possible in 30 seconds. This test doesn't require machines or gym memberships, but it reveals so much. Is strength improving? Is it holding steady? Or is it slipping? Tracking those numbers month after month turns vague guesses into clear evidence. Another powerful tool is progress photos. Families often avoid this because they don't want to see decline. But photos over time can reveal victories that the mirror hides. Shoulders sitting straighter, faces brighter, hands steadier, these details are sometimes invisible day to day but clear when you look back. 6 months of change can tell a story words cannot capture. And then, the regular adjustment. Every 3 months, bring the journal, the chair stand results, and even the photos to the doctor. Let them see the progress. Discuss what's working, what needs to shift, and whether medications or supplements should be adjusted. The freezer plan is not meant to replace medical care, it works best when partnered with it. I want you to picture this. A family in Boston followed these exact steps with their grandmother. At first, it felt slow. They questioned if the effort was worth it. But after 6 months, they gathered for a family photo at her birthday. When they compared it to the picture from the year before, the difference was striking. She stood taller, her smile wider, her posture confident. That photograph became proof that change had happened. Proof that frozen foods, habits, and tracking together had given her back strength they thought was gone forever. That is the power of a long-term plan. It's not just about what's eaten today, it's about building a story of progress that the whole family can see, feel, and celebrate. Now we arrive at the moment where everything comes into focus. Because when you step back and look at the choices we've covered, the dangerous frozen foods to avoid, the powerful ones to embrace, the habits to support them, and the plan to track progress, it really comes down to 2 possible futures. Path A is the one every family hopes for. It's the future of strength, independence, and dignity. Your parent or grandparent rises from the chair without hesitation. They walk to the mailbox, garden in the yard, play with grandchildren, laugh at the dinner table. Their freezer holds foods that work for them instead of against them, and each day they are able to live life on their own terms. This path isn't about perfection, it's about protection. It's about preserving what matters most. Path B is the one no one likes to imagine, but too many experience. It's the slow decline that feels unavoidable. Muscles grow weaker, bones more fragile. Simple tasks like cooking a meal or stepping into the shower require help. Eventually, the conversations shift to nursing homes, assisted living, or full-time care. And in those moments, regret settles in. Regret that the small changes weren't made when they could have been. Regret that what seemed convenient in the freezer led to dependence instead of freedom. I want to share a story that makes this contrast painfully real. A son in Boston cared deeply for his father, but life was busy. He filled the freezer with whatever was quick, whatever seemed good enough, telling himself it would be fine. His dad's decline came gradually, first a cane, then a walker, then the nursing home. By the time the son realized how much the diet had contributed, it was too late to reverse. He admitted, with tears in his eyes, that he would never forgive himself for waiting too long. He thought he had more time. He didn't. And that is why this choice matters now, not later. The freezer can be the doorway to strength or the silent thief of independence. Which path your loved one takes depends on the decisions made today. So I will leave you with this. If you love them enough to want the stronger, brighter future, subscribe to GOLDENERA Senior Health. If you won't, at least comment why you choose silence.